So, okay. So how do you get sponsorship? That's another very important question we'll be trying to answer. Okay. So for those of you in that category, this session is also for you. And for some of you, you've tried everything. You've written all the certifications you think you need. You've done all the training you think you need. You think you are qualified. You have the right skills, but you really can't just get an interview. And I'll tell the story of somebody who is in that current situation during my session today. Okay. And how she's navigating and getting interviews. Within the space of a week, she landed 4 interviews. So, what did she do differently? I'll tell you. And of course, for those of you currently, you are hearing so many things around 10 years ILR. Graduate visas are being cut at the moment. The dependents are banned for specific job roles and so on and so forth. Okay. And the scariest part usually is the fact that you are doing different things and you don't know if what you are doing is right or wrong. And that's the scariest part for you. So what I'll be doing today is I'll show you 3 things. Okay. I'll do 3 things for you today. Number one is I'll break down what has actually changed and what has not. So what is true, what is not, what is coming tomorrow, what is coming in the future, and what is likely still just going to remain as a proposal and not eventually get adopted. Okay, I'd separate the chaos, the fact from the chaos. And I always like to tell people this in the midst of chaos, facts, the facts are your friend. In the midst of any chaos, hold on to the facts. So, what are the facts today? Things are difficult, things are changing, immigration policies are changing. Are there still jobs? Are people still landing sponsorship? If they are, then the question is, how are they doing it? Okay, what has to change? What must be true for me to get sponsorship in today's landscape? Okay, so we're going to look at that. And of course, finally, I'll also show you how to stay ahead regardless of any policy change that would come up. This is not the first time the UK is doing this. Other countries are taking a leaf or a feather from the US cap. The US is doing the same. The UK is doing the same. Even in Canada, they're cutting down on immigration and so on and so forth. So my job today is to show you that there are numerous opportunities, irrespective of where you are at the moment, and I'll show you how to navigate within the next 6 to 8 months. Now, for those of you meeting us for the first time, for us at Tenalytics, we are the leading educational technology company, and the focus for us is on helping people land high-paying jobs within the tech ecosystem. Okay, we operate out of Alberta in Canada and also London in the UK with our sister company, Amdari. And I'm going to talk about Amdari as we move on and the importance of Amdari. But just to give you an insight into what we do, most people don't get jobs today because of one thing. They don't have work experience. So at Analytics, you gain all the skills you need. And at Amdari, we move you to Amdari where you gain work experience. And I'm going to double down on that and expatiate as we move on during our session. So we operate out of Alberta in Canada and also London in the UK. And of course, in the last 5 years, we've helped over 4,000 people like you, no background, no experience, and we've helped them transition into the tech ecosystem to land their very first jobs within the space. We have over 172 full-time employees and also over 300 plus industry experts. And these are the professionals that would ensure that you gain all the skills, you gain all the work experience, and you are able to transition into the role that would give you that sponsorship, the role that would move you into a career path that is progressive, where you see yourself moving up the ladder over the next couple of years. Now, we focus on specific areas, not all areas within the tech ecosystem. We focus on data analytics, health tech, business analysis, data science, financial analytics, cybersecurity, DevOps engineering, and so on and so forth. Okay. And I'm going to introduce some of these career paths to you as we move on today. Why the selected career path? So you'd start to understand the importance of getting into the right career path. Tenalytics is also accredited by the CPD, in the UK and also the American Council of Training and Development, ACTD, in the US. So it's a double whammy for you when it comes to the standard and the structure of the learning that you get. So this shows categorically that you've not just gained the skills, but you've gained the skill from an accredited organization that has the skills, that has the competence to provide those training to you, and also shows the ability for you to do that job. And for me, driving the session today or flying you today, I'll be the pilot for today's session. My name is Adeza Suleiman. I'm a technology expert with over a decade experience cutting across data analytics, management consulting, data engineering, and so on. Okay, so just like so many of you, my first degree was in industrial chemistry. So I didn't study anything related to computer science. I didn't study anything related to tech, but I made the transition. Okay. And the same strategy, the same success, the same process that I took, the same strategy that enabled over 4,000 people to be successful and also transition. That's the exact strategy I'll be sharing with you today. Okay. So over the last 4 years, the last 5 years, we've helped over 4,000 people make their break into the tech ecosystem. Currently work as a data analytics and engineering contractor in Canada. I've lived and I've worked in the UK as a customer insights analyst, as a data science consultant. I've worked in the US, working remotely for companies back when I was in Nigeria, helping them migrate from different Tableau reports to Power BI reports, helping them generate insights from the data that they had. And I've worked as a data analyst, a management information systems analyst with one of the largest privately owned energy conglomerates in sub-Saharan Africa. And I've worked with FITC, owned by the Bankers Committee and the Central Bank of Nigeria. My experience spans across 5 different sectors. I started out in financial services, but then I moved into energy. And we've used the same model to help nurses who have healthcare experience to transition into other career paths, like the healthcare data analyst career path, the healthcare business analyst career path, and so on and so forth. So how do you do something like that? What gives you the skills and the capability to make that transition from one sector to the other sector and career path that are progressive? Okay, so we're going to dive into that. But in the meantime, let's look at what is happening in the UK today. All right. I think I'm just going to mute everybody so we don't have any disruption. Brilliant. Okay, so what is actually happening in the UK today? So I'm going to break this down into three. There are policies that have been implemented, and there are policies that are still undergoing conversations, and there are policies that have been moved forward to the future. All right. So what has been implemented so far? Now, for somebody in the UK today, okay, a couple of you are in the UK. Franklin is in Northampton. Edith is in Swindon, JM is in Bolton, and so on and so forth. If you find yourself in the category of somebody who wants to land a skilled worker visa, you want to get a job that will sponsor you for you to get to stay back in the UK for 3 years or for 5 years, and you start counting your qualifying period to ILR, to permanent residency. This has been increased. The type of jobs you can get today that are eligible for sponsorship have increased to RQF level 6, which simply means required qualifications framework level 6. Now, before today, or before this was implemented in April last year, 2025, lower level jobs to the level of RQF level 3, which means these are low skill jobs that doesn't require any level of education or complexity to do the job. I can get somebody, train them for a week or for 2 weeks, and they can take up that role. And I'll give you an example. Customer service. You can do customer service training for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and you can get a job as a customer service professional. Same with working in retail. You work in Tesco or you work as a shelf packer in one of the retail stores. You really don't need to go through so much training to get that job. So these are low level jobs. All right. Now, today, the UK is simply saying that for you to get sponsorship and qualify, you must be in a career path that has the complexity of a graduate job. This does not mean that you must be a graduate or an undergraduate to get this job. No, it simply means that the level of the job must be at the complexity of a graduate level job. So it has problem solving skills, advanced use of tools and technologies like Power BI, like Python, like SQL, and so on and so forth. These are not career paths that you can learn within a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks and start doing the job. Okay, so these are more advanced. And what they've done is by increasing it to RQF level 6, over 107 jobs were taken out of the lists that were eligible for sponsorship. So it means that it's a lot more difficult to get sponsorship today than it was a year ago. Again, the social care visas are closed to overseas applicants. So if you are not in the UK today, you can't apply to get the health and care visa. And this used to be one of the easiest entry routes for sponsorship, but the door is closing, especially for those outside the UK. And what the UK is simply saying is we've stopped people from outside the UK applying for the care worker jobs directly. Okay. And what that simply means is it's a little bit more difficult to get sponsorship. Now, while these are closing, different career paths have been removed from the eligible occupations for the skilled worker visa, 107 of them. The health and care visa has been closed to people applying from outside the UK. The high talent routes are still expanding. So if you are somebody within the tech ecosystem, within the digital economy, if you are a high impact individual, you've studied in one of the Ivy League schools, or you have a first class in any of these Ivy League schools, or you want to apply for the innovator founder visa or the global talent visa, these pathways are being expanded for more people to apply. All right. Now, while the fees for other pathways are increasing, the global talent pathway has not increased by a pound. It's still the same amount you'd pay last year that you'd still pay this year. So the UK is simply telling you something, that while other pathways are closing, they are simply opening up opportunities for people with high skills. If you have high skills, you have skills within career path that are advanced, like a business analyst, like a project manager, a cybersecurity professional, and so on and so forth. You'd find yourself having the opportunity to take advantage of other expanding routes in the UK. The salary threshold was increased from 38,400 or thereabouts, or 38,700 to 41,700. Now, what does this mean? It means that any job coming with sponsorship today must meet a specific salary threshold. So if you get a job today that is for £30,000 or £35,000, it would not qualify. But again, there are areas you'd have to check and see the going rate for that particular career path. But generally, you're going to find it difficult to land a job if you are not in a career path that offers at least £41,700. So what we advise people generally is look at your job offer and ensure that it meets the threshold for the career path you're trying to get into. So you don't have issues with your COS, you don't have issues when you apply to get the skilled worker visa. Now, the interesting thing is all these career paths that are RQF level 6 and above all fall within that salary threshold. It's quite easy to get a job as a business analyst, as a project manager, as a cybersecurity professional, as a GRC analyst, and so on, and get over £41,700. Okay. So, of course, you also see that Visa applications increased last year tremendously, and they're also going to increase this year. IHS also increased, and so many things in terms of staying back in the UK is so expensive. The cost for ILR increased to £3,000, and you also have to pay for IHS. Your student visas increased, post-study visas increased, and they're also going to increase this April. So some of the incoming policies that haven't been implemented yet, but would come in the next couple of months or in about a year, your post-study visa would be reducing from 24 months, which is 2 years, to just 18 months. So you have fewer time to start looking for jobs, getting a visa sponsored job, and staying back in the UK. You have shorter periods, shorter time to get this done. And one of the mistakes I've seen people make here is they take their time. Okay. So you think 2 years was so long until you have just a few months left on your visa, and then you start to scramble to land a job, and eventually you have to go back to your home country. Okay, so it's reducing from January 2027. If you get your post-study visa, rather than 2 years, you have just 18 months, 1.5 years. You have English requirements, which means B1 to B2, rather than B1, which would be the normal qualifying English requirements. Now it's moved to B2. So it's roughly saying GCSE level English to a little bit advanced level English. Now, for those who studied in the UK, this doesn't really affect you. If you studied in a university where the instruction, the teaching was done in English, then this doesn't affect you. All right. We talked about the 10-year ILR route. ILR typically would be 5 years. If you stay and work in the UK for 5 years on the skilled worker visa, you qualify for ILR, indefinite leave to remain. And a year after that, you can apply for visa sponsorship. But today, they're saying that this is going to be implemented where it's going to take you between 10 to 15 years, depending on your career path, depending on your income level, and so many other things to get ILR. So it's a bit more difficult. Okay. So anytime from now to March 2027 next year, we should be expecting this particular policy to get implemented. And in the next couple of weeks, about 2 weeks from now, the fees are also increasing for your work visas, the student visas, the visitor visas, sponsor licenses. So this is not just affecting the candidates or the applicants, it would also affect the employers. And I'm going to double down on that and why this is so important to anybody trying to land a job today. Employers are more deliberate selecting who they hire simply because they're spending a whole lot of money today to hire you and get you working in the organization. All right. Now, some other policies that have not been implemented and are still at the proposal level: 6% student levies, which simply means that if you used to pay £15,000 for tuition, a 6% levy would be added to that, which is an additional £900. So you'd pay £15,900. So education and studying in the UK would likely become more expensive over time. So education used to be one of the easiest routes and pathways to move to the UK, but they're trying to close that gap. Okay. And you'd find it difficult to go to the UK to study because everything is stacked against you. So increase in tuition. You also have the basic compliance assessment, which is how the government measures the integrity of the universities. They want to increase the threshold. And what does this mean? I'll give you one example. Now, when you apply to a school in the UK, you'd get CAS, your confirmation for acceptance for studies. Now, what the government is simply saying today is the threshold used to be 10% for a university to give you your confirmation for acceptance for studies, your visa refusal, the visa refusal rate of that university must not go above 10%. And it simply means that if a university gives 100 CAS, which means they've given you admission and they've said, this is your confirmation of acceptance for you to study in this university. Take this, go to the British High Commission, apply for a student visa. If they give 100 CAS to prospective students, the government is saying that 90 of them must get their visas approved. 90 of them must get their visas approved. That's the threshold today. But the Home Office is trying to move this from 10% to what? 5%. Meaning that if you issue 100 confirmation for acceptance to study to 100 people, 95 of them must get their visas approved. So what would happen is simple. The universities today would be very deliberate. They would have to look at the candidates, they would have to look at you and be sure that you are really coming to the UK to study. You have every requirement in place. So when you get to apply for your visa, you actually get your visa. Because the moment they flout this threshold, they get sanctioned by the government and they might lose their license to sponsor students to come into the country. Okay, so they're making it more difficult for schools to issue CAS to students. And this means the schools would only admit candidates that are highly likely to succeed. And this doesn't just, happen with the visas. It also happens with the enrollment rates. So how many people came into, let's take Salford University in Manchester. How many people got CAS from Salford? How many of them got their visas approved? How many came into the UK and how many of them eventually enrolled in the program that they were meant to enroll in? And how many of them completed their course? All right. So these are the metrics the government is looking at, and they want to make it stricter for universities to issue admissions and issue CAS. So it's going to be more difficult for people to come to the UK to say, I want to study, because the requirements would get stricter. And of course, for dependents, there's also the likelihood of implementing English requirements for dependents at A1 level. And of course, A1 simply means it is elementary English. It means you can communicate, nothing advanced. Okay, so these are the changes that have been implemented, those that are incoming, and of course, these are still yet to be implemented. But it shows you the future and the direction of where immigration is going in the UK. And it's important that only those that prepare for that eventuality would know how to navigate the space. Now, one aspect I want to highlight is how this affects the employers. So today, employers sponsor, but we all think that the sponsorship is just a document. You get your COS, certificate of sponsorship. It has all the details of the job and so on and so forth. You take that to apply for your skilled worker visa and you get the visa approved and you start working. But there is a hidden cost attached to every single COS that you receive. Every employer spends money, administrative expenses, renewing their license to sponsor, and so on and so forth. Now, before these new changes came into play, employers would spend about £1,000 per candidate. I can see Mohammed's video on. So let's assume Mohammed gets a COS and gets sponsored by Lloyds Bank, for example. Lloyds Bank would have to pay £1,000 per year. So for 3 years, that's £3,000. But that's increasing to £1,320. So roughly for 3 years, rather than £3,000, employers would have to pay £4,000. And this is excluding the minimum thresholds, the salary thresholds they also have to meet. So they are paying you more in terms of remuneration and also paying the government more in terms of sponsoring you. And for 5 year sponsorship, used to be £5,000 per annum, but this would increase to £6,000 per annum per candidate. I beg your pardon, £1,320 per annum. For 5 years, that's £6,600. So imagine an organization that sponsors a lot of candidates and they want to sponsor 20 candidates. You can imagine how much they would have to pay just for their licensing fees, administrative fees, and so on and so forth. So it's a lot more expensive. It's no longer cheap. You are no longer just applying to jobs. You now you are now asking companies to spend thousands of pounds on you. So what these employers are doing today is, if I can't find the talents who are British citizens, who are permanent residents, who have ILR, and I have to hire an immigrant, I have to sponsor an immigrant either in the country or from outside the UK and bring them into the UK, I must be sure I'm hiring the right person. So employers would only hire you today if they know that you are risk-free and you are an investment to that organization. And this is very instructive to anybody here trying to land a job. So when a company hires you today, they are not just giving you a job, they are making an investment in you. And to make that investment, they want to be sure that they are not making a mistake. And one of the ways employers would know that they are not making mistakes is to be sure that you have not just the skills to do the job, but you also have the experience to do the job. You've done it before, and that means you can do it for them. And I want us to do a very quick exercise. Okay, 2 minutes exercise. And I want to ask you this question, and I'd like to know your thoughts and what you think about this. If you were in this situation, what would you do? All right. Now, you want to buy a couch for your living room, and you are considering two people to buy your couch from or to make your couch. One is Carpenter A. Carpenter A has a certificate that shows that he's gone to carpentry school. He's very good. He was the best in his class during his carpentry training. And you have Carpenter B, who has a showroom. You can walk into the showroom, you can touch the couch, feel the texture, get to see the quality, the different colors, and so on and so forth. My question to you, my first question to you today is, who would you trust to make this couch for you? Carpenter A or B? You can just type A or B in the chat. Who would you trust to make this couch for you? A or B? A has a certificate to show that he's done carpentry training and so on. B has a showroom. They've made couches. You can see what they've done. You can touch it, feel it, see the quality, and so on and so forth. Okay, Mojisola says B, Lillian says B, Sonia, Debbie, Atinuke, Lydia, brilliant. Nelson says B. Somebody said A. I'd like to know why you said A. I'd like to know your thoughts on that. Victor says B. Fantastic. Now, we all agree that would go for Carpenter B, simply because Carpenter B has evidence. There is no doubt in our minds that he can do the job, simply because he has a showroom. He has done it. You can see the couches he's done. You can go in there. You can touch it. You can feel it. You know that he's the right person for that job. But a lot of people today, and I tell you for free, I work with thousands of people, and I can tell you for free that a lot of people position themselves as Carpenter A. We all agree here on the call that would go for Carpenter B because of the evidence. We are sure they can do it because they've done it before. But people position themselves as Carpenter A. They feel and they think Their master's degree would get them that job, a certificate. My CBAP certification would get me a job, and so on and so forth. And that's the big mistake that people make. Employers see beyond your certifications. They see beyond your degree. They know that anybody can sit for an exam, pass that exam, and get a certification, but that does not tell that the person can do the job. And just like you've all agreed today, Carpenter B would get that job simply because he has a showroom. You can see that he's done it before. You are convinced that he can do the job. So employers today are paying more to hire you and to sponsor you. So they'll be a lot more selective. So sponsorships are not everywhere the way they used to be. They're a lot more difficult to get today. All right. Employers would also prefer candidates who have experience. So no matter how good you are, you might be the best in writing Python codes. You might be the best in the use of Excel or Power BI or SQL. If you don't have experience, you're not going to get hired. Not in today's world. And of course, employers avoid weak candidates who have just certificates. And there is something, we have a phrase at Analytics, and that phrase is competence over credentials. You can write it somewhere in your notepad. Competence over credentials. The focus for us and the focus for you, if you want to land a job today, must be on competence. And what does competence entail? It entails your skills, number one, which is a given. Any employer would expect that you have the skills to do the job. And number two is your experience. A lot of people think they have the skills, even though most of them have learned those skills the wrong way. But let's assume most people think they have the skills, but almost everybody I've met don't have experience. So they've done some YouTube somewhere, they've done some Coursera somewhere, but they don't have work experience. So why would I hire you who have done a course on YouTube over somebody who has experience doing that job? You all agreed you would go for that carpenter who has a showroom. So you must have a showroom. You must have evidence that you've done the job. You must have the ability to show an employer that you are the right person for that job, not because you tell them what you can do, but you show them what you've done. Okay. So what do you do in this instance when you know that it's no longer business as usual? Employers are getting the short end of the stick. They have to pay you more, and they also have to pay the government more in terms of sponsoring. So what do you do when they're now more selective? Employers would not take you if you don't have work experience. All right. And that's what our session today would center around. How do you stay ahead? Okay. How do you stay ahead? So I'm going to share my slides at the end of today's session. All right. So I'll share a couple of things with you. I'll show you some articles. I'll play some videos and all of that. By the end of today's session, you know exactly what you must do and how you must do it if you want to land a job in 2026, especially a job that comes with sponsorship. So if you want to get all the slides and all my material before the end of today's session, make sure you fill the attendance form. So my colleague, you'd see him dropping the form in the chat from time to time. Make sure you fill if you want to get all the materials and the recording at the end of the session. So how do you stay ahead? This is where you take your pen, you take your notepad if you haven't been writing something down, and start to jot things down so you can take things away from today's session. So number one, how you stay ahead. Okay. Sorry, I'm just going to mute. Latif, if you can mute everyone, or Daniela, please mute everybody so that we don't have distractions. When we get to Q&A, you'd have the opportunity to unmute so we can have a conversation. Number one, what you must do is get into a high demand career path. Okay, get into a high demand career path. Now, of course, it goes without saying that you make getting a job 10 times easier when you're in a career path that employers are actively searching for. So whether you like it or not, the UK is currently experiencing a major talent shortage. There was a study done, and I think I'll share the link. Let me see if I can find the link somewhere in my slide. I know I have it somewhere. There was a study done showing that the UK has 73% of the companies surveyed in the UK show that they struggle to find talent within AI, IT, and data related roles. All right. So I have this somewhere on my slide. I'm just going to show you. Like I said, I'm going to share a couple of links, a couple of articles with you today. This is one of them. Let me see. This is not coming up. Okay. So I'll get the link. I'll get a link before we wrap up today and I'll share it with you. Okay. So you'd see what the article says about 73% of the companies surveyed clearly highlights that they currently lack the ability to fill roles in AI, IT, and data related roles. Okay. And the reason why that is the case is simply because there is a major talent gap, a major skill shortage. So what you want to do is to get into a high demand career path that employers are already searching for. They are looking for candidates to fill those roles, and they're looking for candidates within that career path. Because if you do this, it means employers are already looking for you. So it's easier for them to find you. It's easier for you to land that job, and it's easier for you to get the job because you don't have as many people applying for the same type of roles. Now, how do you get into the right career path? One of the things that we do at Analytics is we scrape the major job boards from CV Library to read.co.uk to UK Visa Jobs, Glassdoor, LinkedIn, and so on. And we identify the career path with the frequency, highest frequency of demand. So which career path are high in demand today that employers are struggling to fill? And on a daily basis, you see so many roles available for those type of career path. So we identify those career paths, and then we use the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs reports, which shows you career path that would grow in demand and career path that will decline in demand. And of course, you want to get into a career path that would grow, not decline. And this is very instructive because I've spoken to a lot of people saying, hey, Adeza, I'm leaving the UK and I'm coming to Canada, or I'm leaving the UK, I'm moving to the US. But guess what? The same level of the same level of commitment and dedication that you'd put into getting a job in the UK is exactly the same thing you do in Canada, even more difficult because there are more opportunities in terms of employment opportunities in the UK than in Canada. So when you want to get into a career path, you don't just want to get into a career path because it is high demand in the UK. You want to be sure that globally, in the US, across Europe, in Aruba, across Africa, these are career paths that would keep on growing in demand. So we looked at the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs report. And finally, we looked at the gov.uk website for the eligible occupations for the skilled worker visa. And I'm going to highlight that and show you a couple of these roles and the codes that show you that these are career paths that are eligible for sponsorship. And we came up with a couple of career paths that if you want to get a job the fastest, if you want to get a job that is high in demand, and you want to get a job that is eligible for sponsorship, you want to get into a business analyst career path, a data analyst career path, product designer, you want to be an agile project manager, a HR analyst, a financial analyst, or a health tech professional, healthcare data analyst, healthcare business analyst, or healthcare project manager. Now, there are more roles, but I've distilled them down to non-coding career path. So there are other career paths that requires you to code. For example, data engineering, which is also eligible for sponsorship, data science, and some career path within cybersecurity, DevOps engineering, and so on and so forth. These are fantastic career paths, but they include coding. So if I want to land a job in the next 6 to 8 months and I really want to do it so fast, I don't want to bother about any career path that requires coding. These are the areas I want to focus on. Okay. So one of the links I've left on my slide, you'd see the codes right here. Business analyst 2133-2431, product designer 2141-3429. Okay. So if you click on this link, it takes you to the gov.uk website, and I can start to search for these roles. 2133, for example, I want to know if it is eligible for the skilled worker visa. Okay, so I go to 2133, scroll all the way down, and I'll see what the IT business analyst. So if I get a job today as an IT business analyst, which is a business analyst that focuses on improving processes, systems, and serving as a bridge between the company and the development team. So you are a middleman between what the company wants and the development team, the software designers, the software developers that build that application. So you're a business analyst in IT, essentially. This is eligible for sponsorship. Okay. 2431 as well. If we scroll all the way down to 2431, you'd also see management consultants and business analysts. So this is a career path that is eligible. It's a career path that is high in demand, and you'd also see higher skilled. Higher skilled simply meaning that this is up to the level of RQF level 6. Like I mentioned, it has the complexity level of a graduate level job. And these are career paths that are eligible for sponsorship with no restrictions. And these are the career path you want to focus on. All right. And I want you to type into the chat. I'd like to know, out of all these career paths I've shared with you today, which one are you interested in getting into? Business analyst, data analyst, product designer, HR analyst, and so on. Just type into the chat. I've left all the codes for you. So by the time you get my slide at the end of today's session, you can go back, see this different career path, and start to see how you can get into any of them. Okay. But for you to get access to my slide, you have to make sure you filled the attendance form. So type into the chat. I'd like to know the career path you are interested in. Amaka says business analyst, Don data analyst, Victor cybersecurity. Okay. Rufus data analyst, Lydia data analyst. Fantastic. Lillian says data analyst. Me says healthcare data analyst. That's a tremendous, fantastic career path. Evelyn says data. Ayo says healthcare data analyst. Absolutely phenomenal. Okay. Now, this is one of the first things you must do, which is get into a career path that is high in demand. So when employers are looking for these roles, you are very easy to find. And that was what exactly Ikmat was able to do. Ikmat was a stay-at-home mom for 2 years. She had a 2 year employment gap. She had moved to the UK to do a master's in public health. But when Ikmat was doing her master's, she realized that all the jobs she saw required some level of Excel and some level of SQL. Okay, Excel, Microsoft Excel, SQL. And she wasn't going to learn this during her master's in public health. So what did Ikmat do? She wanted to get into a career path after being away from the workplace for over 2 years because she had just given birth. She had to take care of her kids for 2 years. She wanted to move back into the workplace. And she also wanted sponsorship. So what did she do? She joined the Tenalytics data analytics program. We worked with Ikmat. We helped her prep for interviews. We helped her with her CV, her LinkedIn optimization, and we helped her gain work experience. And Ikmat was able to land a job with the NHS as an information analyst. Now, it's very important for you to also, it's instructive for you to also take a note Make a note of this. Ikmat did data analytics, but she didn't get a job as a data analyst. She got a job as an information analyst. And this shows you the breadth and the level of jobs available within that career path. As a data analyst, I can get a job as an information analyst, as a business intelligence analyst, as a sales analyst, as and so on and so forth. That was what Ikmat did. And you have so many other professionals like Ikmat. You have Gad Nwachukwu. Gad was a mechanical engineer back in Nigeria before moving to the UK for his master's. He realized that all the roles people were advising him to do health and care and so on and so forth. That's the easiest pathway to sponsorship and so on. But what did Gad do? Gad joined a session like this, just like so many of you. He got into the program. He completed his data engineering program with us in July 2024. And last year, January, he landed a job also with the NHS as a data warehouse and ETL developer. And the job came with sponsorship. Same with Esther. Esther had a background in pharmacy. She moved to the UK for her master's, and Esther got a job as a care worker. But she wanted to leave the care working, ecosystem. She joined our Agile project management program in April 2025, last year. And in just about 3 to 4 months, in July that same year, she landed a job with the civil service in the UK as a contract project officer. Agile project management, she got a job as a contract project officer. And then you have Sharon. Sharon was a healthcare assistant with the NHS, but she wanted to transition into a role where she didn't have to do a lot of bedside care. She also didn't have to do a lot of physical demanding work in order to get promoted and so on and so forth. So she joined our business analysis program in March last year. And by May, the same year, 2025, she landed a job as a business data analyst. And these are amazing professionals that have been able to transition. Toyin was a pharmacist back in Nigeria. She moved to the UK. We helped her apply to multiple health tech roles, helped her tailor every application, optimize her LinkedIn profile, her CV, and we prepped her for interviews. Toyin got her first job with the NHS as a benefits analyst, and then she got her second job, still with the same NHS trust, as a pharmacy data analyst. You have somebody like Ramat who was in customer service, no experience in tech, no experience in anything computer science, nothing. She was a customer service rep with British Gas in the UK. She wanted to do more. She came to us. We helped her tailor her CV. She learned business analysis with us. We helped her gain work experience. And I'll show you how to gain work experience. She did all of that. We helped her build a portfolio. Okay? You'd see the importance of having a portfolio. Applied to multiple jobs. We prepped her for interviews, and she got a job as a business architect with the NHS. She did business analysis. She got a job as a business architect. And this is important because a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that because I've done business analysis, I can only get a job as a business analyst. But that's wrong. You can work as a business analyst, change management analyst, process optimization analyst, and so on and so forth. There are so many roles within the ecosystem. So what we do is to show you pathways on how to apply to these jobs and so on and so forth. Okay. So number one, like I said earlier, is get into a high demand career path. That's exactly what all these amazing professionals did. They got into a career path that was high in demand. So getting the job became a lot easier because employers were already searching for these roles. So for those of you that have chosen business analysis, data analytics, and so on, you've seen people like you who had no experience, no background, but they were able to make the transition. Now, once you've decided on the career path you want to choose, the career path you want to move into, oh, I'm a nurse, I want to become a healthcare data analyst. Or I am a pharmacist. I want to become a pharmacy data analyst. Or I'm currently I was an accountant back in Nigeria. I want to get a job as a project manager, and so on and so forth. Once you've decided and you know the career path you want to move into, the next thing is learn the skills required. And you must learn the skills the right way. A lot of people learn the wrong way. I learned the wrong way myself. Okay, so I'm also guilty of that. And the saddening part is even today in 2026, people still make the same mistake. And the mistake of 100% self-paced, where you buy a course, you try to complete that course, you get to a particular point, you abandon. You move to the next course, you abandon. I have 1,001 courses on Udemy. I never finished. So I made the same mistakes just like you 12 years ago when I was transitioning myself. All right. So what's the right way to learn? The way you would learn, and when you get that job, you know exactly what to do on day one. You're not confused on how to do the job because you've done the job before. So I'll be showing you exactly how to learn, the best way to learn once you've identified the career path you're interested in. And the best way for you to learn is ensuring that you learn in a project-based environment. And when you learn in a project-based environment, you learn by doing the job. So if you want to become a footballer, you must play football. You must get tackled. You must tackle somebody. You must run and sweat and make mistakes, get the yellow card, get the red card, and so on and so forth. You must do the job. If you want to become a nurse, if you want to become a medical doctor, you must do the job. That's the only way you can learn and show that you can do the job on day one. And remember, like I said earlier, employers today are very specific. They are more careful before they hire. So if you can't show them that you've done this job before, you're going to struggle to land that job. So the best way to learn is not by watching a video or watching multiple videos and trying to do some practice on your own. No, the best way to learn is to learn by doing the real work. And I'll show you how that looks like, what that looks like, and how to do that. And when you are able to do that, you learn in a project-based environment. You must showcase your work. You showcase your work by building a portfolio. So when I showed you the showroom of that carpenter B, who had a showroom, and I asked you the question, who would you be confident to give the couch to make? You all agreed and said carpenter B because he has evidence in a showroom that he has done that before. So when you work in a project-based environment where you learn by doing the real work, you must have a portfolio. Your portfolio is your showroom where you show people this is what I've done. Anybody can walk into that showroom. They can see the quality of the work you've done. And I'll show you what that looks like practically. How do you learn in a project-based environment? And how do you gain experience and show to the world by building a portfolio? So if Victoria wants to become a healthcare data analyst with the NHS, the best way Victoria must learn is to learn by working as a healthcare data analyst with hospital data, medical records, and have evidence that she has done that job. So when she goes into an interview with any healthcare organization, with the NHS, with BOPA, with any organization, she can speak the same language. When they ask her, tell me about a time you have done this and that, she can answer those questions confidently because she has done those type of analysis and she can speak the same language. And that's how you start getting the job. You start showing the employer that you have the right skills and you also have the experience. So I'm going to show you what this looks like very quickly. Okay. So let's go into one of the classrooms. This is the classrooms for the healthcare data analysts. Okay, so how do you learn in a project-based environment? This is how you do it. Now, while they were learning Excel, their very first Excel live class, you don't learn Excel the same way everybody else would learn Excel. You learn Excel by working on real world projects. Okay. So the first class on Excel focused on helping a hospital called Medcare UK Hospital Group, helping them streamline their business. Okay, so you learn Excel by using Excel to get data from different locations, creating a central location where you have a single source of truth. So one of the problems this hospital face is they really can't say the length of stay for patients. How long do patients stay? Depending on their department, depending on the type of disease they have, and so on and so forth. Okay, they really can't know the operational efficiency. How long does it take to treat a patient? How long does a particular physician take in treating a patient based on their particular disease and so on and so forth? So the data is scattered in different branches in different regions. So what you do is you bring the data into a central location and you use Excel to start to answer these questions. So by the end of the day, or at the end of the day, you would have built a dashboard that helped the organization understand key insights within the hospital. All right. So you start by cleaning the data, you detect inefficiencies, you prepare a dashboard for the executives, for the leadership within the hospital to tell them the length of stay for inpatients, to let them know what's the revenue contribution by the different doctors and so on and so forth. And the beauty about this is you don't do it alone. You do it in a live class, not you watching a video and trying to figure it out yourself. So you have a live class that is recorded. So in case you miss this class, you always have the opportunity to go back to your classroom and watch that class over again, just in case you miss the class on a Saturday. So a live class happens on a Saturday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. UK time. So you don't miss anything. So if you miss the class, it's recorded. If you come back later, you can join, watch the class again, see what happened, and so on and so forth. So if I click on this, I can see everything that happened in this class. I can see how we solved and analyzed the data using Excel, helping that particular hospital answer key questions. So we looked at locations in London, Birmingham, Bristol, and so on and so forth, and we did our analysis. Okay. Now, when you've done this, you've analyzed your data this way, what next? You have to show that you have the ability to do this job because you've done it before. So this is what learning in a project-based environment looks like. You don't learn by working on hypothetical cases. You learn by working on real problems within specific sectors. The second Excel class, the same thing, the same hospital, but this time around, you are answering different sets of questions and you are building a dashboard that looks like this. And when you build this dashboard, what do? You must create a showroom, just like that carpenter that has a showroom. You can walk into the showroom and anybody can see the quality of the couch you can make. The same thing here. You must show that you've done this type of job before. So you create a portfolio, and this is what a portfolio looks like. All right, I'm going to show you what a portfolio looks like very quickly, and then I'll take you to the next phase of our session today. All right. So this is what a portfolio looks like. So whenever you solve problems like that, you solve cases like that, you create a portfolio. This is a portfolio for Melody, data analysts. The link to this portfolio, the URL, would be on your CV and also on your LinkedIn profile. So any recruiter and any potential employer can check and see what you've done. And just like that carpenter that has a showroom, they can come into your portfolio and see the type of work you've done. Oh, this is a fantastic dashboard. It's an interactive Tableau dashboard showing employee performance and benefit utilization across. You can read what it's all about. You can click on that and it takes you to the dashboard. And you'd see different projects Fusion Point Electronics, Novamed Pharmaceuticals, and so on and so forth. This is evidence that you can do the job. I'll show you another portfolio very quickly. This is a portfolio for Victoria. Okay. Victoria worked and solved problems for a hospital, deep care hospital ER visits, helping the hospital reduce the wait time of patients by identifying the periods where you have high volume of patients coming into the hospital and recommending that the hospital, especially within ER, provides additional resources so that patients don't have to wait too long. I can come here and click on this link and it shows me the dashboard that Victoria has built. And just like that showroom of the carpenter where I can go in and touch the couch, I can interact with this. I can deselect all of this. Everything disappears. I can click on Q3 and I can see data for Q3, number of patients that came in for Q3, the average age, average wait time, and so on and so forth. Anybody that sees this would know that Victoria knows exactly what she's doing. And that's the importance of having what? A portfolio. So when anybody asks you the question, what's the best way to learn? You must learn in a project-based environment, which is learning by doing the job. If you want to get a job in healthcare, you must work with healthcare data. If you want to get a job in retail, you must work with retail data. If you want to get a job as a project manager, you must manage projects. If you want to get a job as a business analyst, you must work on business analysis related projects across different sectors and so on and so forth. When you've done that, you must build a portfolio. That's your showroom. That's evidence that you can do the job. Recruiters would not pay attention to you if you can't show them that you've done the job before. All right. So when you've done that, the next step for you, number 3, is you must gain work experience and show the recruiter that you have experience in this career path. If you can't show work experience, you are going to lose to somebody that has work experience. Okay, so how do you show work experience? Very important. All right. The first thing you must do is when you learn in a project-based environment, the projects you complete would form part of your work experience. And then you must also undergo internship. So for us at 10 Analytics, you don't just learn the skills, you also participate in an internship. If you join the healthcare data analytics program, once you are done, 6 months learning, 6 months learning, you join the internship with Amdari. Amdari is a sister company to 10 Analytics, and this is where you gain experience through internship. So you work with other professionals. If you're in data analytics, you work with the business analysts, you work with the data engineers, you work with the HR analysts, because that's the exact way you work in the real world. You collaborate and you solve problems together. You don't work in silos. Okay. So you must gain experience in this way. You work during your internship and collaborate, and during your learning, you work in a project-based environment. All those projects you work on become part of your work experience. And of course, you must have evidence by building a portfolio. Okay, so I'll show you a very good example of some of the success stories that I shared with you today. Okay, and how this plays out. And I'm going to tie that to the 4th strategy for today. So we've talked about a couple of, strategies. Number 1 is get into a high demand career path. Number 2 is you must learn the right way, learn in a project-based environment, and also showcase your experience through a portfolio. Number 3 is you must gain work experience. All the projects, when you learn in a project-based environment, and your internship forms part of your experience. I'm going to share what number 4 is, and I'll tie number 4 to what I'll be showing you now. Okay, so let's go to LinkedIn very quickly. Now, some of the people you've seen that have landed jobs, I shared some of them with you. Let's say Toluwaleke, for example. I know I didn't share Toluwaleke's profile, but Toluwaleke got a job recently as a data engineer. One of the things you would see is you both worked at 10 Analytics. He currently works with, I think, the National Grid as a data engineer. One of the things you'd see is he worked as a data engineer with Tenalytics. And after that, he landed a job as a data engineer with Vuhosi. And then he moved to a new role with Ofwat as a data engineer. The importance of positioning yourself as a data engineer already on that role means that you have the experience and you showcase to employers that you can do the job. Absolutely important. I'm going to show you, let's go to ICMATS. I think I'll play ICMATS video later before we wrap up our session today. But ICMATS she was a stay-at-home mom. Today, she's an information analyst with the NHS. Before she got that job as an information analyst, she worked with Tenalytics. Employers want to see that it's either you're on the job or you've done the job before. If you can't showcase to them that you've done it before, you would struggle to land that job. And there's so many other professionals, so many of them. Ramat, she's a business architect with the NHS as well. If you go to Ramat's profile, you'd see business analyst consultant with Tenalytics. She used to work as a customer resolution agent with British Gas. And because she had positioned herself as somebody who has done that job, she was able to get the job as a business architect. Experience is tremendously important. I want that to sink in. If you want to apply to get a job as a business architect, and all you have is customer resolution agent, you can't show where you've worked as a business analyst. Nobody will listen to you. Nobody will believe you can do the job because you've not shown them that you've done the job before. And there are so many other candidates like that. All right. So that's the importance of what? Experience and how to gain work experience. Anytime you show recruiters, they can see before the interview even happens that you're the right person for the job. They can see the quality of the projects you've completed and they understand your capabilities. And when you walk into the room, all you have to do is convince them that you are the right person for the job. And that's where your interview prep comes in. Okay. We have Pedro. Pedro was almost going out of his um, post-study visa in the UK. He needed to transition. Today, Pedro was able to land his sponsorship in December last year, just before the end of the year. He got sponsored. And this is where he was having a conversation with his coach, Victoria. Hello, Victoria. Hope your day went well. I received my offer today. Thank you for all the support and encouragement. And Victoria asked him, oh, hope the offer is great. Can you share what the offer looks like to me? And he's saying that it's a 36% more in terms of remuneration, and it also comes with visa sponsorship. And I'd love to play Pedro's video, but I'm going to share the slides with you so you'd have the opportunity to go back, listen to Pedro, and you get to hear what Pedro needed to do to land this job. But I'll tell you what he did. Pedro mentioned that the things that made the difference for him was, number one, his CV. So the moment he had his CV reviewed by us, he started to get a whole lot of interviews. And when he got those interviews, he got prepared for those interviews by Victoria, his coach. And because he got the interview prep, he knew what to say when he got into the room, and he was able to land that job. And the job came with sponsorship. Now, the importance of also having experience in the career path that would give you sponsorship is because organizations would want a reference. So every organization would want to validate the skills you have, validate your experience by you providing them with a reference. And this is an example of a reference. One of our participants got a job as a pathology data analyst, and the NHS reached out. Hello, Adeza. This candidate, we are currently recruiting him, hiring him for a pathology data analyst role. He's provided your name for us to reach out to you and ask for a reference. Can you provide us with a reference using this link or fill the attached form and send it back to us? Of course, I clicked on the link, filled the link, and provided all the answers to the questions that were required. They wanted to know, does he know how to use Excel, SQL, Power BI? Because these are the skills and tools that will be required on the job. Because he had listed Analytics as part of his work experience, he was able to get a reference from us. Okay, today he works with the Southeast NHS Foundation Trust as a pathology data analyst. Okay, and his name is Mawutin. I easily forget his name. Mawutin. You'd also see you both worked at Analytics, and you'd see where he worked as a data analyst consultant. Prior to then, he worked as a support worker. Okay, but then he transitioned and now he works with the Southeast NHS Foundation Trust. That's the importance of having work experience and showcasing to employers that you have the experience to do the job for them. So when it comes to referencing, you can reach out and we provide a reference. Okay, so now that we know the four strategies to utilize, if I want to show that I'm the best candidate for the job, what do? I must get into the right career path to make getting that job 10 times easier. Number two, I must learn the right way by working in and learning in a project-based environment and creating a portfolio where everybody can see what I've done and how good I am. Number three, I must also gain work experience through those projects and also through internship. And finally, I must have a reputable organization that can provide a reference for me to ensure that I keep the job. Because you might get the job, or keeping the job is a different ball game entirely. Now, when you've done all of these four things, you want to know the type of skills to learn when moving into any of these career paths. Because a lot of people just talk about business analysis, data analytics, but they don't know what to learn. So as a business analyst, what do you learn? I'm going to share the tools and technologies, and then would move into how do you start today? Wherever you are, no experience, no background, you've never done anything within the tech ecosystem. How do you start to make that transition? Okay, I'll share that with you and then would go into our questions and answer session. Okay, now for a business analyst or a health tech business analyst, they are the same role. The difference is one is general, the other one focuses within the healthcare space. So if you're a healthcare business analyst, it means that you work in the NHS, you work in medical organizations, medical insurance agencies, public health organizations as a business analyst. But what does the business analyst do? The business analyst is somebody who helps organization identify problems, improve processes, and implement solutions. I like using this example. Let's assume a hospital currently has a manual process. When you walk into the hospital, you have to fill a paper form. And because of that, a lot of records get missing. The records are not digital. Patients cannot book appointments online and so on and so forth. What the business analyst would do working in that organization is they would meet with the different stakeholders, the nurses, the doctors, hospital administrators, and ask questions to identify the issues with the current process. Okay? They would analyze and see what's the current process? What does it look like? Where are the gaps and the inefficiencies? And based on the conversations they have with the stakeholders, they create a document where you'd have the requirements to implement a patient management system. So what we have today is manual. People fill forms. They fill paper to get to see the physician, get to see and get, care from the hospital. But now we want to have something called a patient management system which is a software that would allow patients to book appointments online. They know when they need to get to the hospital. Their records are all available in the database within the hospital, and they can easily track their records themselves online as well. So the business analyst is the professional who would ensure that the gaps within the current manual process is identified, the inefficiencies is identified, and they understand exactly what this patient management system must have. They document it and they send it to the developers. The software developers would look at the requirements and use that to build the patient management system. Now, while that is happening, the business analyst would work with the developers to ensure that this patient management system meets the needs of the hospital. So everything we want that software to have, make sure that it has that particular feature. We want patients to book their appointments online. Make sure you have that feature working perfectly. So they work with the software developers, they test and be sure that it's working well, and they assist by setting up training within the hospital when that is done, so that every nurse, every physician, every healthcare assistant, every front desk professional knows how to use that patient management system. That's the role of the business analyst. So you are doing a lot of talking to stakeholders, running meetings, running workshops, documenting processes, writing user stories, helping implement solutions within the organization. That would form the critical part of the work that you do on a day-to-day. And for you to do your job, you must learn Excel, Power BI, and SQL. These are your data skills. Then you move to process mapping with tools like Lucid Charts, Draw.io, project initiation planning, Agile and Scrum for projects, software development lifecycle. This is a project management skill for the business analyst. And you learn how to use tools like Confluence, Jira, and Trello, and Azure DevOps. As a business analyst, you'd learn requirement fundamentals, elicitation, stakeholder analysis and engagement, and generative AI using ChatGPT for the business analyst. So the same tools, the same technologies for the business analyst and the healthcare business analyst are exactly the same. The difference is the healthcare business analyst would focus on projects within the healthcare organization. So as a business analyst, while you focus on building, let's say, a fintech app, the healthcare business analyst would focus on building a patient management system. So your projects are tailored towards the career path you want to move into. Okay. And that's what the business analyst does. None of these areas require you to have past work experience. Everything you get to learn, you learn that in class. You work on projects to complete those projects, and then you join your internship. If this is something that sounds exciting to you, just type in yes into the chat before we move into the next career path. Just type yes into the chat, and then we move into the next career path. Franklin says yes. Darlington, yes. It's a phenomenal career path, and that's exactly what Ramat was able to do. And today, Ramat works with the NHS as a business architect. Okay, Ramat works with the NHS as a business architect. So you look at processes, identify the gaps, recommend solutions on how to cover those gaps and improve those processes. Most of the time, you need to implement some level of automation in the form of an application. So you discuss with the technology team and say, hey, this process takes 5 days. People cannot book appointments online. We want to build an application where people can book appointments online. And rather than taking 5 days, we want this to take 5 minutes. So we need a software, we need an application that can do this for us. You'd work with the development team to ensure they build that application and it meets the needs of the organization itself. Okay, so it's a career path that takes 8 months for you to get into. 6 months learning, 2 months internship. And like I said earlier, when you look at this vis-a-vis the strict requirement for sponsorship today, you realize that when you say RQF level 6, which means career path that have the complexity level for graduate skills, it simply means that you must take time to learn these skills, understand problem solving, work on these type of projects. So this is not you become a business analyst in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks. No, 6 months learning in class and 2 months internship. So 8 months altogether. Now, the beauty about this is, do you have to wait for 8 months in order to start applying to jobs? No. You can start applying to jobs as early as 3 months, 4 months into the program, and you'd see a lot of people landing jobs because by the time you're done with Excel, Power BI, and SQL, you know process mapping and project initiation planning. You'd find organizations that require those level of skills, and you can start to put in your applications. And when you get interviews, we prep you for those interviews and you start to get job opportunities. That's exactly what Ramat was able to do. Ramat got a job, I think, about 3 to 4 months into the program, as a business architect. That's Ramat right there. Okay. Ramat got a job, I think, 3 to 4 months into the program. All right. So that's for the business analyst. Now you have the agile project management. And again, you have agile project management and the healthcare project management. So the same way as a project manager, you focus on the healthcare space as a healthcare project manager, or you want to work generally across other industries, other sectors, you are a general agile project manager. And what does an agile project manager do? An agile project manager is somebody who leads teams to deliver on projects in a step-by-step process while adapting very quickly to change. So the agile project manager does not plan everything at once. So if we take that patient management system that we want to build for the hospital, the agile project manager would manage the project. We want to have multiple features. Feature number one is what? Online booking. Feature number two is we want people to be able to track their records online. And feature number three, we want billing integration. Okay. Now, what the Agile project manager does is we're not going to plan and do everything at once before we launch. Would do number one. So let's take number one, which is online booking. Create a sprint, build the platform, integrate online booking, and then we launch the project. As people start to use that platform and we get feedback from them, we improve on the platform, and then we continue to add more features. So you can have and start the patient management system with only 3 features. But at the end, by the time in the next 2 years or the next 3 years, you have 20 features added to the patient management system because you didn't build it at once. You built it in an agile environment using the agile methodology. Let's start with one feature, complete it, and launch. As we get feedback, we keep on adding more features and improving the features we already have. That's the difference between agile and waterfall. The waterfall methodology, which is traditional project management, you plan everything at once and you build everything before you launch. But that takes time. That means you have to wait for a long time before you start getting feedback from the users. While in Agile, you don't build and do everything at once. You do that step by step in a process called sprints. Okay, so that's the Agile project manager. And what do you need to become an Agile project manager? Introduction to project management skills and communication, foundations of Agile and Scrum. You must understand the Scrum framework, the Scrum artifacts, advanced Scrum practices, and so on and so forth. End-to-end use of Jira, Trello, Draw.io, Confluence, generative AI, For the Agile Project Manager, you'd learn the Nexus Skills Scrum, how to apply agile leadership in real world application. You'd learn the agile metrics, the burn up, the burn down, the velocity charts, and so on and so forth. And we also prepare you for the professional Scrum Master examination. Now, one of the beauties of the Agile Project Management program is you can also work as an agile coach. You can work as a Scrum Master because you're going to learn the Scrum framework. You'd learn Kanban and you'd also get to learn Lean. Okay, so these are different frameworks within the agile methodology that gives you the opportunity to compete for multiple roles. So you're not just applying to jobs as a project manager. You can apply to jobs as a project officer. You can apply to jobs as a PMO analyst, apply to jobs as an agile project manager, agile coach. And that was what Esther did. And Esther was able to land the job as a contract project officer. Contract project officer. She was a care worker, but today she works with the civil service in the UK as a contract project officer before she even completed her program with us in Agile Project Management. Okay, so and of course, we also have the data analyst and the healthcare data analyst. This is a phenomenal, fantastic career path. If you're somebody who is new, you have no experience, you want to land a job with the NHS, this is a role the NHS constantly recruits for. All you have to do is go to the NHS, jobs.nhs.uk, and search for the data analyst role. You'd see multiple roles for the healthcare data analyst, even for those in the US, okay, and so on and so forth. But what does the data analyst do? What does the healthcare data analyst do? They do the same thing. One is just focused within the healthcare organization. And what do? They are professionals that use data to help organization take better decisions. Okay. So let's say the NHS, one of the NHS trusts wants to know, the NHS trust wants to know, um, when does a hospital or does this hospital receive the most patients? Or which departments are overloaded with patients at specific points in time? And how long do patients have to wait before seeing a doctor? Okay. What does the healthcare data analyst do? They go into the records, they go into the database and they get data like the patient records, the hospital performance data, treatment outcomes, healthcare, cost, disease trends, and they analyze this data to identify and answer those questions. And by answering the questions, if we know how long patients have to wait before seeing a doctor, we can identify the reason why. And if we identify the reason why, we can help to improve staffing. We can also reduce the patient wait times and we help the organization make better decisions. And that's the role of the data analyst. If Tesco wants to know or Primark wants to know what's our top selling products across England or across the UK, from England to Wales to Northern Ireland and so on, how can we know the top selling products across all these regions? The data analyst would get data from the data warehouse, use tools like Excel, Power BI, SQL to analyze the data and identify the top selling products, low performing stores in Scotland, for example, seasonal sales, customer buying patterns, and so on. And they can recommend to Primark that based on the top selling products, this location has few variations of these products. Can we introduce more products to Northern Ireland? Can we change the manager from this particular region to this region to help them improve on their sales? Because we've noticed that managers with this specific set of skills are able to bring in X amount of profit. So the data analyst takes data from the organization, analyzes that data, help the organization make better decisions. So you learn problem solving, you learn Excel, you learn SQL, Power BI, Tableau, data storytelling, ChatGPT for analytics. Microsoft Fabric. All right. Similar to the business analyst and the project management program, it's for 8 months, 6 months learning, 2 months internship. Now, for those of you in the UK, you have the flexibility of either joining a class in the morning or a class in the evening. For example, Saturdays is when you have your live classes, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And for those in the US, you have a class from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Mountain Time. And this is roughly 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. UK. So if I'm in the UK, for example, and I'm not available 11 a.m. my time to join the class on Saturday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., I can join the class for those in the US, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. So I join in the evening and I have that flexibility. Every other day on Sundays, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, you are on the LMS, and I'll show you what the LMS looks like, the Learning Management System. That's where you get to watch, practice any day, anywhere, anytime at your own convenience. But on Saturdays, you join a class with a real person, a real human being. You work on projects together. You have the opportunity to ask questions. You can stop and say, hey, I want to share my screen. I want to show you what I'm working on. Tell me if it's right. Tell me if it's wrong. That's the best way for you to gain skills and know how to utilize those skills. All right. So we move to the next career path, which is the financial analyst and the HR analyst. So these are interesting career paths because both the financial and the HR analysts are data analysts. The only difference between them and the data analyst is, unlike the data analyst that works with Tesco or Primark, that tries to find out the top performing products across each region, the financial analyst is focused on the financial data. I want to know the revenue and expenses. I want to know which region generates the highest profit margin. I want to know the next region for us to launch a new office, a new shop, a new store. Okay. Let's take Asda, for example. Asda has multiple stores, multiple locations, but there is a particular location where we don't have a store. We want to carry out a cost benefit analysis, and we also want to, draw up a financial model to identify, do we launch Asda in this particular region or not? So we look at different assumptions and we build our model, a base case, best case, worst case scenario, and we come to a conclusion if we should go ahead to launch or not. We carry out scenario and sensitivity analysis before we come to that decision. That's the role of the financial analyst. You're a data analyst, but you don't play with all different types of data. You play with what? Financial data. So you learn your data skills, problem solving, Excel, Power BI, and SQL. But then you go into accounting fundamentals, financial analysis, financial modeling, valuation, sensitivity analysis, and generative AI for the financial analyst. And just like the data analyst as well, the HR analyst does not focus on all types of data. They focus on what? People data, HR data, recruitment data, employee satisfaction data, productivity data. So they want to know, how does, let's take, for example, we want to know why employees resign 1 year into their experience with the company. So after 1 year, a particular level of employees resign. Why do they resign? I want to know. We want to bring employees back into the office from working remotely. I want to know which departments or which units are the most productive working from home. So I'm not going to bring everybody back into the office. I want to know, did your productivity increase or decrease when you were working from home and while you were working from the office? So the HR analyst would take workforce productivity data to answer that question and look at productivity before and after working from home. So employees that have higher productivity working from home, let's keep them at home. They can still work from home, maybe come to the office once a week or thereabouts. And for employees that or departments or units that had a drop in productivity while working from home, let's bring them back into the office. So that's the HR analyst responsibility. You take people data, you take employee data, and you use that to help the organization make better decisions about the workforce. So you also learn problem solving, you learn Excel, Power BI, SQL, and then you move into HR analytics and performance evaluation, HR metrics and life cycle, analysis and dashboarding, collaboration and report automation, building your case and creating action, and finally, generative AI for the HR analysts. It's an 8-month learning journey, 6 months learning, 2 months internship. All right. 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturdays, you have your live classes if you're in the UK. And if you're in other regions in the US, Canada, similar time zone, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Mountain Time. Okay. And finally, we have the product design. If you're a product designer, a UI UX professional, this is a fantastic, phenomenal career path. But who is a product designer? A product designer is somebody who decides, who is responsible for how a digital product looks and how it feels. So we are currently on Zoom. You have different buttons. Some of you are typing into the chat. Somebody designed how the chat experience would look like. Somebody designed how, the buttons, where the buttons should be to increase and improve the user experience. So when you use Zoom, you enjoy using Zoom. The colors of different buttons, the interface, somebody was responsible of designing it. Okay. So if you're somebody who has a flair for creative, you're a creative, you like to draw, you do interior design, and so on. You've worked as a graphics designer, for example, you have a flair for design. Product design is a fantastic career path you want to get into. Okay. So you are responsible for ensuring that all the applications you use, your banking apps, Revolut, Starling Bank, Lloyd's Bank, all the banking apps you use, somebody was responsible for ensuring that it had a specific color, it looks in a specific way, using it feels a specific way, and so on and so forth. You don't build the application yourself, but you design the interface and the experience. Okay, so that's the product designer. So you're going to learn user experience and research, usability testing, portfolio, and AI in product design. You learn to use Claude as the AI tool as a product designer. You learn how to build wireframes, your visual design and prototyping using tools like Figma, Framer, and of course, Notion. Okay, so your classes are in the afternoons in the UK, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. UK time for the product designers. Every other day on Sundays, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, any day of the week, any time of the day at your own convenience, you are on the LMS. And I'm going to show you what the LMS looks like. You have a structured environment where you are never confused on what to do, and you are also never let alone. So if you are studying on a Wednesday or on a Tuesday and you want to have a session with a professional, you can book a session, have a session on a Tuesday. You can book a session, have a session on a Friday. You can book a session and have a session on a Monday. Okay. And that's the beauty of not missing out on anything. All right. And that's your Tenalytics advantage. So we don't just help you gain the skills, we help you with the experience, employability skills, and a winning application strategy. So you choose to learn any of the career path, you move into any of these areas, we provide you with the skills, but we don't stop there. We present and package you and position you as the best candidate for that job. And how we do this is you gain work experience, but you can use 10 Analytics, you can use Amdari as your work experience. Okay. We revamp your CV for you. So if you go to your classroom, if you go to the classroom, you have the opportunity, you'd see where you can upload your CV. Okay. So where you have important materials, you'd see where it says upload your CV for revamp. You upload your CV, we revamp your CV for you, and we show you how to tailor your CV to other jobs. So when you're applying to jobs, you're not applying like everybody else. You know exactly what to change. You know exactly how to tailor that CV to each job application. And that's where you start to get more opportunities. And of course, your LinkedIn must also align to what you have on your CV. So you have your LinkedIn optimization. We show you how you build your portfolio and upload projects into that portfolio. Okay. So you have your LinkedIn optimization sessions as one of your mentorship sessions. Okay. So, for example, on the 20th, last week, we had a LinkedIn optimization session. And again, the recording is always there in case you miss the session. All you have to do is go to the link, click on that, and every single thing that was done practically on that day, you also get to watch how to do them. So it's a practical session. We show you how to use this particular AI tool to tailor all the CVs and so on and so forth. Okay. And by the time you are done, you know exactly how to always optimize your LinkedIn. So when recruiters are searching for you, you know, you come up as one of the top on the search, and that's how you start to get opportunities. There was a lady, her name is Vanessa. Vanessa is in France. The moment Vanessa completed her LinkedIn optimization, she got a request for interviews. And guess what? That's the job she's currently doing today. Okay. So Vanessa is on my slide. I'm going to share that with you so you can listen to Vanessa. I'll show you Vanessa very quickly before I quickly wrap up the rest of the session. Okay. So that's Vanessa right here. She's in France. And that's typical to what you get with LinkedIn. The moment you optimize your LinkedIn, recruiters start to reach out to you. Okay. That was exactly what Vanessa did. Today, she's a data analyst with a top company in France. She thought it was a scam when they reached out to her, but eventually, from one interview to the other interview, we prepped her for the interviews. And you also want to listen to her because she spoke about it when she recorded that video. Okay. So we help you with that. Optimize your LinkedIn. You join all the mentorship sessions. This past mentorship session was an interview simulation session. Very interesting. Over 300 people on the call. And we had a couple of people who had submitted their CVs to us for a dummy role. And we asked them questions. And based on the answers you give, we give you feedback live on the call. So it gives you the feeling of what you get when you go for a real interview, and you know what to improve, you know what to change, and you know how to prepare better. And of course, if you have interviews, you book a one-on-one interview prep. All right. And this is where I'll take you to the LMS and you'd see what the LMS looks like. Okay. So your learning management system is where you'd have the opportunity to join and you have access to your dashboard. So I'll show you what the LMS looks like very quickly. Okay, I'd log into mine, and for anybody who joins, you have access to the LMS as well, the program you've registered for. And you see here it says, "Welcome back, Adeza." If I have an interview, all I need to do is come here. I go to where I have interview preparation. I click on schedule mock interview. When is my interview? My interview is on a Sunday. 29th. Today on a Saturday, somebody would prep you for this interview. Or I have an interview next week on Tuesday or on Monday. You select that. What stage of interview? It's a first level interview. It's HR screening. You can select that. Copy and paste the job URL, paste the job description, and upload the CV you've used to apply. You book your interview prep and somebody will join a call one-on-one with you to prep you for that interview. And that's the reason why our participants land jobs a whole lot faster compared to other people. All right. And of course, we have the job referencing where we provide you with a reference and on the job support. And finally, apply, which I dare say is one of the most important parts. Knowing where to apply, knowing how to apply, this is where you get the advantage over other people. So one of the things we do is we tap into the paid and hidden job market. So for platforms that have exclusive visa sponsored jobs, we pay to those platforms and we make the links available to you. So you apply to those jobs, and these are jobs that are not available to the general public because you have to pay. But you don't pay, we pay for it and we send them to you. And I'll show you an example in your classroom. So all you have to do is when you go to your important materials, you'll see where you have job offers. Under job offers, you click on the link and it takes you to different jobs that we've put right there for you. For jobs in the US, jobs in the UK, the ones that come with sponsorship, you'd see true jobs in Canada, and you can start to apply to these jobs. Okay, so you start from here. When you apply to these jobs, before you start applying on conventional job boards, and this is where you get opportunities a lot faster compared to your counterparts. And when you have interviews, you go to your LMS, go to your dashboard, book an interview, and we get to prep you for that interview. So here, if I'm registered for, let's say, Agile Project Management, I can come here on a Sunday, on a Monday, click on Continue Learning, and I can watch my videos, learn, and I can practice at my own convenience. Okay, I want to know the basic project management tools. I click on that and I can watch the video on that. It's just for 7 minutes, and you are taught by some of the best professionals across the globe. Okay, so this is what your LMS looks like, highly structured, and it gives you exactly what you need to land that job. And when you learn, you present and package yourself as the best candidate for the job, and you apply the right way. You tailor every CV, you put in minimum of 10 applications, tailored applications per day. So not just volume, but quality volume. You tap into the paid and the hidden job market. That's what gets you the job. That's exactly what Sonia did. Joined our HR analytics program. She's currently a HR analyst with BAT in the UK. She moved from BAT and she moved into, I think, MenCap last year, January 2025. You have Idris. Idris got his very first job with Jaguar Land Rover in the UK, in Coventry. He got that job as a data engineer. Today, Idris currently works with QuantSpark in the UK as a senior analytics engineer. You have Chika. Chika completed our financial analytics program. Today, he's a financial analyst with one of the top tier companies in the UK, and so many other professionals. Mary had no experience in tech. She joined our business analysis program in November. Okay. By March last year, 2025, she has secured a job as a business data analyst with NatWest, and it also came with full visa sponsorship. And she sent us this screenshot when she got the job. And of course, it shows she's currently on a 5-year pathway to ILR by 13th of March 2030. She got her sponsorship last year, March 2025, and so many other professionals across different regions. So what I've done is all the links to all these amazing professionals, you can get to listen to them. I'll play maybe just one video so we can get into questions and answers. Tosin had a background in public health. Today, he's a fraud analyst. Follow the same process, learn, package, apply. He's currently a senior fraud detector with BNP Paribas in the UK. Judith was a carer Judith joined our business analysis program. 3 months after, Judith landed a job, not with a company in the UK, even though she resides in the UK. She got a job with a company in the US. She works remotely from the UK for that company in the US. All right. And so many other professionals. You have Maureen, Evelyn. Evelyn is a nurse, over 15 years experience in nursing. She transitioned into data engineering. Aroma is a physician with over a decade experience. Today, he's a data analyst. Toyi, pharmacy, back in Nigeria. Today, she's a pharmacy data analyst with the NHS and so many other professionals. But I want you to listen to one person today, and that person is Ikmat. Ikmat was a stay-at-home mom. Today, she's an information analyst with the NHS. How did she do it? How did all the things I've said today play into Ikmat's landing that job? I want you to listen to her and get to learn one or two things from her own journey. Okay, our next cohort starts on the 11th of April, about 2 weeks from today. And for those who want to transition and get a job in 2026, the game has changed. The ground is always moving. It's not what it was in 2025 or 2024 or 2023. To land a job today, you must do something different and you must be different. You must be in a high demand career path. You must have evidence that you can do the job because you've done it before. And you must have a reputable organization that can vouch for you. Extremely important. If you don't have a portfolio, you've been applying to jobs and you've not been able to get interviews, and you miss one of the things I've mentioned today is missing from your profile, know that you keep on applying, keep on getting ghosted, keep on getting rejections because the quality of the candidates you compete with today, if you compete with somebody who's completed 10 analytics, you are competing with some of the best professionals who have experience, they have the skills, they've worked in a project-based environment, and they'll give you a run for your money. Okay, so you want to be ahead of the competition. You always want to be somebody that can prove and show that you are the right person for the job. And that's where you want to be. So the next cohort starts on the 11th of April, 2026, in about 2 weeks from now. And we have an amazing offer for the women. So at the beginning of March, March is International Women's Month. So we have this offer that we run to get more women into tech because currently women are underrepresented. Women represent only 25% within the tech ecosystem. 75% are men, male dominated. So we want to bring in more women into tech. So we have grants and funds from partner companies providing 50% scholarship to 300 women. We have a few slots left because the cohort starts in 2 weeks. We started running this at the beginning of March, the beginning of the month, 300 women, and we extended to just about 100 men. Okay. So if this is something you know you want to get into, you want to transition into a new career path, this is the best place for you to start. I'm going to walk you through how to take advantage of the scholarship. If you want to be one of the 300 women to join us and get your journey started, or one of the 100 men to also take advantage of the 50% scholarship. Ikmat, I'm going to play her video for you. Ikmat was a recipient of this scholarship. She took advantage of the IWD Women's Scholarship, just like we have this year in 2026. She took advantage of it and she was able to transition in 2024. I want you to listen to Ikmat and then I'll come back. I'll walk you through how to take advantage of the scholarship and get started in your journey today. Okay, so let's sit back, relax, enjoy Ikmat's story. It's a 2 minutes plus video. Enjoy Ikmat and we'll come back to wrap up our session. So let's hear from Ikmat quickly.
Hi everyone, my name is Ikmat and I was with the March cohort in 10 Analytics, and joining 10 Analytics has been the best decision so far. For me, someone coming from a background of full housewife, because I had to stay back home to look after my child for 4 years, and then wanting to break into something new, wanting to go back into the workforce, wanting to place myself in the society for better job opportunities. So it was a lot. And then I'm glad that Tenalytics came along, and then they presented me with so many opportunities right in front of me, better opportunities. And then I'm glad I took it. And then also the advice of do not sell yourself short, that Effie is always saying, it is very, very valid, because place yourself right, don't sell yourself short. It's a very, very, very valid advice. In analytics, they will hold your hands like a child, through the modules. You have the opportunity to go back and study. You have the opportunity to go back and practice. You have the opportunity to ask questions. You have people you can always go back to, even outside of class hours. It's the most amazing experience so far, really. And then another thing is the interview prep, guys. That is another very important thing. I did my interview prep with Mr. Mohammed, and it is the best decision ever, because it was like he saw into the future. He knew what was going to be asked, and I'm glad that I wrote down all the things he mentioned. I went back to practice, and then when it was time for the interview, it was like everything he was mentioning, everything he mentioned, it was just they kept on. And then when I was answering those questions, I was so confident, because I already practiced. I did an Excel test, I did a maths test, and then they were really impressed. And another thing is, guys, it may not come as fast as you expect. Definitely you are going to get some no's, and then you may begin to think you're not good enough. You are good enough, yes. The no's will come, but always take it as a basis for learning and development, because after every interview where I got a no, I always make sure I get a personal feedback. So I work on those feedbacks for my next interviews. And yes, it worked. It really worked for me, because I got my first job 3 months into the program, my first job. But I couldn't take up the job because I was a student, and I was only eligible to work 20 hours. So I couldn't take up the job. 3 months later, I got 2 jobs with full visa sponsorship. And guys, all the other no's before the 2 jobs prepared me for the yeses I got. So yes, the no's will come, but do not give up, because you always have analytics to go back to. They are the best, and the best thing that's ever happened to me. And then yes, and they are the most affordable. The most affordable one I've come across so far. And that's a very good advantage. So yes, analytics for the win.
So that's Ikmat. Ikmat was a recipient, just like I mentioned, of the IWD scholarship. She took advantage of it. She got started. And today, Ikmat is one of the coaches we also bring on board to help other people trying to get into the NHS with their supporting statements and so on and so forth. So you have fantastic professionals helping you make that transition and getting into these career path you want to move into. All right. So for those interested in health tech, the data analytics program, any of the areas I've highlighted today, instead of making the full payment of $1,250, you get to pay 50% of that, even more than 50%, about 52%, where you get to pay just $600 to get started. And the beauty about it is you don't have to make the full payment at once. You can make payments in multiple installments. So this makes it even easier for you to get started. So you can make payments in up to 3 installments. You make the first installment, you get started on the 11th of April. Your next payment comes after the next month, and the 3rd month is when you complete your entire payment. And you have access to 8 months of learning, 8 months of learning and internship, and everything from your CV review to your LinkedIn optimization to helping you prepare for interviews, interview preparation, which is absolutely phenomenal. So whenever you have interviews, all you have to do, go to your LMS, book an interview prep. Somebody will join to prep you for that interview. Okay. So we have 20 slots available for those in today's session who would like to get started. Okay, we have 20 slots available and we have additional offers. I have three fantastic offers for you. The first one is the 50% scholarship for the women, 300 women, which, like I said, we started in March, and we have few spots left for the women. We have a few spots left for the men as well. But in today's session, we have 20 slots available for those who want to get started. Now, additional offer, my second offer to you is you get the opportunity to join the Founder Circle if you are one of the first 20 people to join. So, what's the Founder Circle? The Founder Circle is where you have the opportunity to sit down with myself, the co founder, and other industry experts, and we help you tailor your journey no matter where you are coming from. I came from industrial chemistry. I worked as a management consultant. I became a data analyst, a data scientist, a data engineer. So we help you tailor your journey to the career path you want to move into. That's the opportunity of the Founder Circle. Okay. So you get this before you even get started with the program itself, being a part of the Founder Circle. You also get the opportunity to join the next weekly mentorship. Our mentorship sessions happen on Thursdays, so which means you don't have to wait until the 11th of April. If you're one of the first 20 people, you can join the mentorship this coming Thursday. So you'd see what the mentorship session looks like, the amazing insights from industry experts, the interview simulations, and all the amazing sessions that we have. You can participate, you can ask questions, you can contribute, and so on and so forth. So what this means is you skip to the front of the line. So even though other people that would pay later would start on the 11th, but you would have started your journey a lot earlier from this coming week. So that's the advantage of getting immediate access to the mentorship. We also have a session coming up in April where we'll share alternative pathways to alternative visa pathways in the UK. For example, the Global Talent Visa. A lot of people don't know that the Global Talent is not just about tech. Yes, we predominantly focus around the tech aspects of the Global Talent, but there's also arts and culture. Okay, so we'll show you how to tap into the global talent, get your endorsement from Tech Nation or other endorsement bodies, and also all the pieces of requirements that you need, pieces of evidence that you need to get started. And one of the things we also do for you is we provide you with your reference letters, at least one reference letter from Tenalytics and one from Amdari. For those of you that will be taking the global talent route for settlements in the UK. And finally, you would also have the opportunity for lifetime career support. So let's assume you've completed the program, you've gotten a job in 2028, you want to move into a new career path and you want help in terms of support, or you want referencing, you want us to provide a reference for you, you'd have the opportunity for that. So you have access to these four amazing front of the line initiative. You take advantage of that. You'd be in an exclusive group of people that would thrive and get the very best. And my final offer to you is you'd also get, once you get to enroll, we always make updates to all our programs. When AI became the in thing, we introduced AI to all the programs that we offer in 2024. Okay, so you'd have the opportunity to get access to all the updates would make to the curriculum, to the program you've registered for. So even if you register today, 23rd, 28th of March, 2026, and we make an update in 2028, you'd have the advantage of taking that same update, being a part of it, and you get access to it for free. All right, because you'll still be part of the LMS. You would not leave and you get updates to the curriculum. All right. Then number two, life happens and we all know sometimes you might fall behind. I'll give an example of a lady. A lady took advantage of this initiative and her daughter fell ill. She's in Canada. She registered. in February, but she couldn't start simply because her daughter fell ill. So she did week one and she had to take a break to take care of her daughter. Okay, so life can happen. And we know that sometimes you might want to extend, you might want to move to the next cohort, and so on and so forth. You're going to do that for free with no re-enrollment fees and all of that. For those who fall within the first 20 people, you start the journey. Maybe you get projects that are too difficult in your current job. You want to take a breather and move to the next cohort. You'd have the opportunity to do that. And finally, you'd also have guaranteed access to a minimum of 3 industry standard projects in your portfolio by week 12. So by week 12, you'd have access to 3 standard projects. You'd have completed 3 projects. So that means in your portfolio, you'd have 3 projects available at the minimum. It's likely going to be more, but you'd have a minimum of 3 projects. And if by week 12 you don't have up to 3 projects, no questions asked, we refund you and you keep all the course materials to yourself. You have access to the LMS and you also have access to the live classes. So that's our guarantee to you. Because, like I mentioned earlier, the focus for us is ensuring that you don't just gain the skills, but you know exactly how to do the job. And that's where the projects come in, just like I explained earlier. Okay. So a lot of people take advantage of the priority access. The first 20 people to register would get advantage and be a part of all the additional incentives that I just mentioned if you are one of the first 20 people. Okay. It's either the first 20 or Sunday midnight, this ends. So we don't have 20 by Sunday midnight. If it's 15, we cut it off at 15. But if at the end of today we have 20 people, we also would cut off the additional incentives. And what we've seen over time is before I even end the call, in the next maybe 15 minutes, all the 20 slots are gone. Okay. So how do you start? How do you register? I'll walk you through that in 2 minutes and then I'd come to you, Taiwo. You have a question for me. So for those that have questions, I'll be taking questions before we wrap up. Okay. So let's go to how do you register for those of you that want to register. So you have that on my slide. You also have my colleagues posting the link in the chat. So the moment you click on this link right here or the link in the chat, it's going to take you to the enrollment center. Okay. And it would look like this. So I'm just going to walk you through this very quickly. You'll see all the programs you can register for. Okay, you want to register for data analytics, for health tech, and so on and so forth. Let's say I want to register for data analytics. I click on enroll now. Okay, it takes me to the program. I can see the 50% discount and so on. And I click on what? Enroll. And the moment I click on enroll, I have to create a profile. Okay, so create a profile is pretty intuitive, straight to the point, nothing overboard. Just create a portfolio, create a profile, and you can do that in 2 seconds. Okay, so I'll show you what that looks like very quickly. So you enter your phone number, read the terms and conditions, select that. I'm going to enter a different email. So you'd see exactly how it would appear on yours. So sign up. This creates an account for you. You're going to be required to validate your email, validate your phone number. So you want to ensure you have the right thing there. Okay. So I can select April if I want to start with the April cohort, or I can select May if I want to move and start in May, if I have commitments in April, for example. Okay. So let's say I want to start in April immediately. I want to get started. You can either make payments in 3 installments, like I mentioned, or you can make payments in one full installment. So you want to commit and say, I want to make one payment, get started, and I don't want to worry about payments again. Or you can start by paying $200 to get started and you make subsequent payments in the next month. So you can also change the currency. If I want to pay in pounds, I can come here, select pounds. So it means I'd pay a total of £459 instead of almost £1,000. That's the magnitude of the discount, the scholarship that you have, especially if you're a lady or you are a guy, you want to gift this to your niece, give this to your wife, give this to your sister, this is the amazing opportunity that you have. Okay. So I pay £153 today, another 153 the next month, another 153 the third month, and that's all I have to pay to be a part of the program. Okay. So I select that, and then I see the breakdown right here. And I can come here and simply select, I confirm that my information is correct. I've read the terms and conditions, and you click on pay now. You confirm your information, click on pay now, and you'll be required to enter your card details. So I'll just show you, do this very quickly so you know exactly what happens at different points in time. So Adeza Suleiman. Enter your postcode, click on pay. Oh, sorry. Click on pay. And the moment you click on pay, once your payment is confirmed, you gain access. You'll be required to complete some additional information, provide your profile details, and you see payment successful. You'll be redirected to where you confirm your email. Okay, so I'd come in here, go to my email, check your spam in case you don't find the OTP. Okay, so I'd go to my email, look for the OTP, and I'll type that right there, 984407. Verify my email. So once my email is verified, I'll be required to quickly complete some additional details. Country of residence, United Kingdom. Okay, gender, select that. Preferred timing. Okay, so I want to join the class 11 a.m. British summer time. How did you find out about us? Select one of the options that best suits. I saw you guys on LinkedIn, for example, on Google. Select the option. You can enter an alternative email right here, a Gmail preferably, just in case, would need that for some additional access and so on. You don't need a referral code because you already have access to the discount. Okay. What made you register? You enter that, select what made you register. I was impressed with the structure of the platform. Whatever, suits the reason why you registered, select that right here. How much time do you want to commit? So this is for us to know how well to engage you and ensure that you are on track with your studies and your learning plan and so on. We always recommend at least 1 hour per day. So between 4 to 6 hours or 7 to 10 hours per week is what we recommend. Select that, click on complete setup, and this gives you access to your dashboard. Okay. Now, immediately you can start utilizing things within the dashboard. For example, but before you can do anything, you need to complete a checklist. Okay. The checklist is very important. So if you click on complete your checklist, this is where you watch the welcome video. You get to understand the class etiquette. You download and install the tools required for your specific program. There's a there's a readiness quiz you have to complete. You get to know your facilitators and the support available to you, and you get to meet your facilitators and your cohort leads. Okay. So once you click on complete my onboarding, you start the process of doing that. Okay. So once you are done with that, you'd have access to everything on the dashboard. So even if you have an interview tomorrow and you want to book an interview, you can do that as long as you have access to the dashboard. Okay. So that's what comes with completing your checklist. And finally, let's take, for example, you're learning in class, you're learning on your own on a Monday morning or a Monday evening, and you want somebody to join a session with you. All you have to do is come to your classroom, go to where you have book a drop-in session, select that, and go to what? Click on the link, and it takes you to a Calendly. And all you have to do is you can book Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Any day of the week, you can book. Okay, so you can see the days available Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, any day of the week. You need support, you need guidance. This is not somebody sending you a message or sending you a WhatsApp. This is somebody joining a call with you for 1 hour any day of the week to guide you and ensure that you get the best value for your time within the program. And that's why most of the people you see from 10 Analytics, they land the job a lot faster than their counterparts. Okay, so I'm going to take a breather at this point and I'll take questions. I'll start from the chat. If you have questions for me, I'm going to drop into the chat to take questions before. Evelyn is saying the link for the scholarship. Okay, I think Daniela has shared that already. Yeah, four slots have been taken already, according to Daniela. Um, let me see. No April cohort for healthcare business analysis. Yes. So all the slots for April are gone. We only have slots for May. Okay. So usually when the slots are gone, the registration is closed because we have limited number of people we can accept into a class to ensure that effective learning takes place. Okay, so the cohorts for April for the healthcare business analysis and I think healthcare project management, we don't have available slots for those programs in April. You'd have to start in May. So what you want to do, Mojishola, is register, select May, and you get started in May. Okay. So if you're one of the first 20 Mojishola, you'd have access to the mentorship. You can start joining mentorship sessions. You get to see me there. You can ask questions. You have the opportunity to interact with other people within the program. And that's one of the best things you want to do. Okay. Please kindly explain health tech. Fantastic. Now, health tech, there are three programs we offer in health tech: the healthcare business analysis, healthcare data analytics, and healthcare project management. Okay. So you choose one of the three. But essentially, these are programs that are tailored towards the healthcare sector. So for those who want to work with the NHS or any other healthcare related organization, is one of the best programs. Any of these three programs will give you access a whole lot faster because you'd work with healthcare records, healthcare data, healthcare projects. And these are the things you'd want to say when you get into the room. You'd know how to write your supporting statements. You'd know how to approach the interview, the right metrics, the right KPIs, how to talk when you get into the room, and so on and so forth. Okay. So as a healthcare data analyst, for example, what's your role? Your role predominantly would center around taking patient data, taking the hospital records, analyzing those data, and helping the hospital answer critical questions that helps them improve, okay, within the hospital itself. So how many patients come in per week? We want to know when we have our peak periods in the ER, for example. Is it on a Wednesday in the afternoon? Is it on a Monday in the evenings? How do we deploy resources? Have enough physicians, have enough nurses, healthcare assistants available around those periods. So the healthcare data analyst is responsible for that. The healthcare business analyst, on the other hand, focuses on improving processes and implementing systems. So you go into an organization and you look at a process. The process is manual. The process takes long. What do we need to do to optimize that process? Essentially, that's what you do. And as a healthcare project manager, for all projects available, all projects within that organization, you would be responsible for managing the project. Okay, so when the business analyst says we need a patient management system so that patients can book appointments online, patients can track their medical records online, and so on and so forth. The project manager takes that project off the business analyst and manages the project to ensure that the project is delivered on time, on budget, on schedule, and it meets the requirements of the organization. So, as a healthcare project manager, your focus is ensuring that you don't want to wait until you've built everything before you deploy using the agile methodology. Can we deploy this system with one feature? So it's like WhatsApp. And let's say, you want to build your own WhatsApp and you're building WhatsApp with only the feature, to send and receive messages. When you are sure that is working, you deploy and people start using, they give you feedback, you make it better. Then you want to introduce another feature. Maybe the feature you want to introduce now is video call. So by doing that, you don't have to wait for so long to number one, deploy your project, and number two, also get feedback from the users. So it's a lot faster. Most of the tools you use today, your Instagram, your Facebook, you might wake up tomorrow and see that Instagram has implemented something new, a new feature. WhatsApp has implemented something new. They do that because they built WhatsApp with the agile methodology. So these are the same things you're going to learn as a healthcare project manager and so on and so forth. Okay. Me is asking how to pick one in healthcare tech segment of the three if confused. So me, what I advise you to do is this. Select one, okay, that you think you are interested in doing. And then you book something we call a clarity session. And of course, if you're one of the first 20, you're going to have that automatically with myself, with the co-founder, and with also the COO. We'll sit down with you and we'll have a conversation around what exactly you want to do. We look at your past experience, we look at your background, and we look at your goals and objectives. And we tell you, okay, you selected healthcare data analytics. That's the perfect place for you. Or based on your experience, we think you should choose the healthcare business analyst program. Okay. So you want to be one of the first 20 and you'd have the opportunity to get that support. But even if you're not one of the first 20, you also get to speak to our career coaches. So you book a clarity session, speak to a career coach, and they would guide you on what to do. So you can always change the program you've selected. If you select one, even after you've started for 2 weeks, you still have the opportunity to change. So let's say you start on the 11th of April, and 2 weeks after you think, I think I'll do well in, let's say you start with data analytics, but you say, oh, I think I'll do well in HR analytics. I want to change. You can still do that even after 2 weeks of starting. So you'd have something where you can, I want to show you what it looks like. You have something where you can defer your program. Again, I might not really be able to show you because you have to complete this to do in order to do anything on your dashboard. But you have something where you can defer or you can transfer to a different cohort. So you always have that opportunity to do that. I hope I answered your question, me. Let me see. Edith is saying, I've enrolled for business analysis and it shows success in green, but I can't see how to make payments. And it shows, okay, I can't see how to make payment. Please, how do I proceed? Okay, so Edith, what I want you to do is this. Maybe try to refresh, start again, log in again or something. And if that still doesn't work out for you, just send an email to either enquiries@tenalytics.io or admission@tenalytics.io and somebody would help you out with completing the payment. Okay. Let me see. Atinuka is asking. Atinuka is saying I wasn't able to complete my program since I did data science. Can I still? When did you join Atinuka? Let me know when you joined and when you stopped, since you said you couldn't complete, and I'll let you know if you will have access to that or not. But again, Atinuka, what you can do is just send an email, okay, to either inquiries or admission, and somebody would respond and help you out. Okay. Aisha is saying, I have paid last week. Please, I need clarity. Daniela, please, can you guide Aisha on how to book a clarity session so we can answer all Aisha's questions? or any question Aisha has for us. Adiola is saying, I have registered for business analyst. Can I diversify into healthcare business management? Absolutely. Absolutely, you can. But I'd like to know, just clarify something for me very quickly, Adiola. Are you saying you want to complete the business analysis program, but maybe later in the future, you want to move into healthcare business management as a career path? Is that what you mean? Or are you asking if you can transfer from the business analyst to healthcare business analyst? It was last year, May. Atinuke, yes, if it was last year, you will have access to your dashboard. Log into the dashboard. You have the feature for help. You can simply click on that. And if you have any questions or anything, so you'd see help right here if you log into your dashboard, Atinuke. Okay, so go to your dashboard, click on Get Help, and you have the opportunity to reach out to support and they would guide you on what to do. Okay. Diversify in the future. Absolutely, Adiola, you can do that. All right. Because one of the things you do for the business analyst, you are not just analyzing processes for the organization, you are helping the organization become better. So when organizations are more efficient, two things happen. They reduce losses and they increase revenue. So you'd understand the workings of a business and how a business functions. And you can easily move into, business management later in the future. Now, for Ramat that I shared her profile with you that works as a business architect with the NHS, she did business analysis. The only difference was while she was preparing for that interview, we helped her tailor it to the healthcare sector, to the healthcare space. So she was able to say the right things when she got into the room. Charles is saying, can guys pay also? Absolutely, you can, Charles. Like I mentioned earlier, we have a total of 300 women, which we started since the beginning of the month, and 100 men. So we have a few slots left for both the men and the women. Okay. Dare is saying I'll need clarification session. Absolutely. So Daniela, please send a message to Dare. Okay. How we can book the clarity session so you get all your questions answered. So one thing you'd get for everybody who's registered so far, once you get your payment confirmation, about a week before you start the program, before the 11th of April, a week before you start, you'd have you'd get an email. The email would contain your class materials, would contain the lesson plan where you'd see the different classes with the timings and everything. And you'd also get access to join a WhatsApp group and also your classroom. So this classroom that I've shared with you get an access to join the classroom. Now, your LMS, you'd have access to it the moment you make payments automatically. But a week before you start, you join the classroom, you join the WhatsApp group and all of that. So you'd have the opportunity to interact with your facilitator. You'd have a data coach and you'd also have a class coordinator. All right. So but Daniela would help you book a clarity session, and then you'd also get the opportunity to have access a week before your class commences. Mojishola is saying that I'm not quite clear on the difference between health tech and healthcare business analyst. So I'll just pick health tech and I'll have to better clarifications. Okay. All right. But let me explain once again to you, Mojishola. Okay. But like you said, you can pick one. Or what I'll do because of time, just you can go back and watch this again, but book a clarity session. Send an email to any of these numbers or a WhatsApp message. Let me share that once more. Send an email to any of these emails. Send a WhatsApp message to any of these numbers, and one of my colleagues would attend to you, help you book a clarity session, and you'd have a session with somebody who would listen to all the questions you have and it would help you address all the concerns, all the questions, and so on. Okay. Let me see. What you guys saying? I've made payment for business analysis. Absolutely fantastic. I would need clarification. Okay, so that's Dari. All right, so Daniela has shared the link, Dari. So just go ahead, copy the link, paste it somewhere so you don't lose it after this session. Paste it on a Word document or on your notepad. Click on that, book a clarity session sometime this week, and somebody would get to answer all the questions you have. Okay. Evelyn is saying, I tried to enroll for the data, but it shows 459. 459 what? What currency, Evelyn? Okay. What currency? Pounds, dollars, what currency? So if you go to the payment page, let's go there very quickly. So I'll show you how you said it shows data analytics. So let's click on enroll. All right. So, okay. Yeah. So it brings you here. Now, the fee is £600. The discounted fee is £600. Original fee is 1,200. Okay, that's in US dollars. If I want to pay in pounds, it's 459. So I guess that's what you saw. So I can either make a one-time payment of £459, or I can pay in three installments where I pay £153 in three installments, and that's 459. So what you've seen, Evelyn, is the payment in pounds, the discounted fee. You can either make a one-time payment or you can pay in three installments. Okay, you can pay in Canadian dollars. You'd see that as well. 849 Canadian dollars, 283 per month for 3 months. Or you can pay in euros and you can pay in naira as well, depending on your preferred currency. Okay, so I hope that answers your question, Evelyn. Or if you want me to answer any other question that you have. Diamond is saying, is there any flexibility on training days as I work on Saturdays? So, Diamond, this is what I advise you to do. Now, two things you want to consider if you work on Saturdays. Number one is from what time to what time. If you're in the UK, you're in Nigeria, you're in Europe, similar time zones, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. is when your class would hold. If you can't meet that time, you can join the class for those in the US or Canada, which would be 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. your time. If you're in the UK or in Europe or in Africa or something around that, okay? Somewhere around that place, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. All right. Now, if you can't meet any class on Saturdays, so let's assume every Saturday you'd miss a class, then I would say the program is not for you, Diamond. If you can't meet the morning class, you can't meet the evening class every Saturday for 6 months, you're going to struggle because you would always have to play catch up. And when you have to play catch up every single time, there are mechanisms we've put in place to ensure that you still, get value. But if you miss every live class for 6 months, you're going to struggle to get the best out of the investments that you've made. Okay, so what I would advise you to do, Diamond, is look at the timing, look at your schedule, and see if I don't meet the class in the morning, can I join the one in the evening? Or how many classes am I likely going to miss in a month? If you miss two classes in a month, that's still fair. Because what it means is if I miss two classes in a month, I can simply go to the recording, class recording, watch the recording. And if I have questions during the week when I'm free, I can book a drop-in session and get clarity from from a professional that will work with you, answer all the questions and bring you up to speed. But if you have to do that for every single class that you miss, because you have to miss every single class, you're going to struggle. And we don't want you to struggle, Diamond. All right. Let me see if I have more questions. Let me see. Uh, Somebody's asking, please, can business analyst course materials be used to write IIBA? Absolutely, Adiola, it can. So we've used the curriculum we've used to design the business analysis program is the IIBA and the BCS, the British Computer Society. That's the organization that would, I would say, to some extent regulate business analysis, and IIBA, which issues the CBAP. The difference is IIBA, the CBAP, and BCS are theoretical. What we've done is infuse practicals and projects with the experience so that when you are done, you don't just write an exam and pass, but you know exactly what everything you are doing means and how to do them because you've done them already practically during the program. Okay, but we use those two curriculums to design the curriculum for the program. So once you are done, you can write the exam. And the advantage for you is you're not just writing an exam, you know exactly what you are writing, you know exactly what everything means because you've done those things before. So elicitation, requirements gathering, requirement fundamentals, requirement engineering, stakeholder analysis using the RACI matrix and all those things. You've implemented them on a live project, on a real project. Okay. So you know exactly what they mean rather than just going to write an exam. Okay. All right. I've not seen any new question. Okay, Victor is asking, I have a friend with me who is into fashion design. He wants to know which role will be fine for him. Victor, get your friend to book a career coaching session. I would need more information to, recommend something directly to him for him. Okay. So let him book a clarity session, join one of our career coaches. Would like to know the fashion design. Um, does he run a business? Okay. What does he want to do in the next 2 to 3 years? Does he need to get a job today, transitioning to get sponsorship, and so on? We need to know what he's done for the last 5 years. Did he just move to that country? Or we need to ask specific set of questions and we can then guide him. Okay. Because fashion design itself is I can tell you product design, I can tell you project management, and so on and so forth. But I'd like to know his objective, his goals, where he wants to be, what he's done before, and we get to recommend something. But if he wants to take advantage and he knows that one of the programs I've shared today is something he wants to do, he should take advantage of the discount so he doesn't come back and see that the discount is gone and he has to pay a higher amount. Then
Alright.
it's a clarity session and then would answer all the questions
Uh,
that. Okay, so I think somebody was unmuted. Okay, so let me see if we have more questions. He's doing masters in IT. Please look into my experience. Let me see. Victor. I sent before now. Okay. Victor, do you know what? I'm going to send you a direct email. Send me an email. Okay. Because I believe you sent something before and I can't find it because there's so many messages. So I'm sending you a direct message. I'm going to drop my email. I don't know how do I get to do that now? Okay. So send me an email and I'll respond to you and guide you on what to do. Daniela, do you know what? Send an email he can reach me on. Send an email to inquiries, direct that to me, and I'm going to help you out. Okay? How do I make payments now or pay when I'm ready? Do I make payment now or pay when I'm ready? I have an ongoing program and I'm not sure I can merge them anytime from October. October is very far. Titi Layo, I'd suggest you You come back when you are ready, sometime maybe in September, so that you have time to dedicate to the program. Okay. Unfortunately, you miss out on the IWD scholarship, but I mean, it's better for you than to combine the two and not really gain anything from either. So it's better to focus on one thing, get the value, rather than divide your attention and don't get anything at the end of the day. Okay. But you can't pay now and start in October. That's too far into the future. All right. So come back in September, send us a message, and we will help you get started. Amaka said I've not answered her question. Amaka, let me look for your question. Oh, so that's the problem. So you might want to type it again, Amaka, because I must have missed it. Okay. I must have missed your question. My question is similar to Titilayo. So what was Titilayo's question? Chisom is saying, I usually work Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So depending on the so attending the live class may be difficult. In the past, I enrolled in programs I held on Saturdays and tried to record on recordings when I missed them, but I ended up falling behind. Yes, you're going to fall behind. Okay. It took me a long time to overcome my station readiness. I truly want to participate. So what I want you to do, Chisom, is this. Okay. What I want you to do is this. You finish work at 8 p.m. You still have the opportunity to join the class for the US. Okay. Join the class for the US, which I advise you always join. Don't miss it. Okay. Now that's on the one hand. On the other hand, you want to watch your recordings. So for every class you miss, if you also miss watching the recording, you're going to find it very, very tough and very difficult. So try as much as you can, attend the US classes. So you'd see we have EU, we have NA. EU is for those in Europe, UK, Nigeria, Ghana, similar time zones, and so on. NA for those in US, North America, and similar time zones. Okay. So 8 p.m. is close to the class for the US, even though you'd still miss about an hour and a half to 2 hours or thereabouts. All right. But you want to watch the recording. The problem people always have is watching the recording. Now, the reason why it's always difficult if you miss all the classes is you would always have to watch and watch and watch videos. You're not watching a movie, so it can get boring if every day you're not part of the live class and you always have to watch recordings. You might struggle to always play catch up. Okay. So you want to watch the recordings, and most importantly, if you don't do anything else, you want to book a drop-in session. So every day you are free, what you want to do is click on this link, book a drop-in session. So let's say you miss a class on Saturday. Monday, click on Monday, book a session for Monday. If it's Tuesday, you are free, click on Tuesday, book a drop-in session for Tuesday. If you are free on Thursdays, click on Thursday, book a drop-in session. So this is a session where somebody would join a call with you, bring you up to speed on everything you've missed. All right. So it's as good as you're not missing anything eventually. But if you don't watch the recording, if you don't book your drop-in sessions, you are really going to fall behind. And you don't want that to happen. Okay. All right. I think we've spent well over 2 hours. What time is the US session? It's 10 a.m. Mountain Time. So if you're in Alberta, you're in Canada, that's